Hi there, Andy. It's Kate Davis here. I thought I would record my answers for you. Long story short, I actually have a fractured finger, so typing at the moment is not overly pleasant. I have two of my fingers taped together, so I thought if I record the answers for you, you can either use the recording for your blog, or you can take the best bits out of what I'm able to answer and use that in your written responses instead. So thanks very much for taking the time to ask me some questions. Thank you for checking out the projects that I advertised to you initially. And I apologise for the delay. I've literally just finished working on the scare attraction job that has kept me pretty busy for most of October. Anyway, I will read out the questions that you've asked me and I will do my best to answer them thoroughly for you. So, question number one. I think your first acting experience was on stage. How does it compare with film? Do you still do theatre work? And do you have any further ambitions in stage acting? Well, you're absolutely correct in stating that my first experience was in stage. I actually did stage for something like 10 years, really, before I started making film. I do adore working on stage. You get a hell of a adrenaline buzz, and it's lovely to have such a sort of intimate response from your audience when you're performing. You know whether or not they're enjoying your show and your performance, and you really feel like you can sort of experience that firsthand. Whereas when you record film, sometimes you make a project and it won't come out for a year or two after you shoot it. So you never really know how well it's received unless you read reviews. And you just hope and pray that somebody out there has enjoyed what you've done. Whereas theatre, again, like you can just feel the energy in an auditorium if you've done a good job or if people have enjoyed what you've done. So it's a pretty big buzz and something that I really value, and it was an enjoyable part of my career. And obviously the best way to start out, really. How does it compare with film? I guess the main differences would be that when you perform on stage, you're sometimes projecting your voice and your body language, your performance out to between maybe 300 and 1,000 odd people. So therefore everything you do has to be much more magnified, and you throw it out there, and it's a big performance, big gestures. And it's exhausting. It's an incredible thing to do, but I really enjoy working on stage because I like to play my parts quite subtly so that the audience actually has to kind of do a lot more of the work coming in to see your performance. You can keep it quite intricate and small, tiny little reactions that go on in your face and your eyes that people see, and they make their own assumption as to what your character's thinking or feeling. And it's quite a nice way to work, and also a bit more of a natural way to perform, which is actually what I prefer now as an actor. Do I still do theatre work? Not so much. I mean, I just finished this live scare event, which I guess is the closest thing that I've come to theatre in the last couple of years. My last proper stage work was in 2012 when I was working throughout Europe. I did that actually for 3 years. Basically helping to teach English by using theatre. So we did shows like Sherlock Holmes. We did a variation of Sherlock Holmes stories, and I also played Mulan from the Disney Mulan. But we did these sort of big, almost cartoon style performances so that students and people from all around Europe could use that to understand the English language. And it was great fun, but I think I did so much of it. I mean, at the time when I was doing that job, I was doing 4 shows a day, and that went on. Each tour was between sort of 8 months and to nearly a year, and doing that 4 times a day just started to get a little bit tiring after a while. So when I came back to the UK, I decided to focus more on film, so that I could get the gaps in between work. Do I have any further ambitions to do stage acting? I'll never say never. I don't rule out any work when it comes to acting, because part of the career means that you have to adapt to the work that's available at the time. You know, we need to earn a living, and I do enjoy it. I do love the theatre, but I'll be honest with you and say that I would primarily like to focus more on screen work, as it's where I feel that I'm a bit more passionate. Number 2, you've mentioned that you're a long-time fan of horror and sci-fi. What are your favourite films in those genres? I mean, I love a lot of genres, but yes, absolutely. I grew up watching a lot of horror and sci-fi, and I guess more thriller than anything, actually. My favourite films in those genres, horror. I absolutely love a film called The Descent. I just think it's a very as well as being horror, there's a lot of extra messages in that film, and if you watch it several times with that knowledge in mind, you draw up all different kinds of thoughts and feelings about it. I love the fact that it's a female strong cast. You know, it's 5 lead females, all fantastic actresses, and you really feel for them. You really invest in these characters before things start to go wrong for them. So the horror is actually just kind of an additional thing that weights out the story. But I found it really gripping, and I absolutely adore that film. And with regard to sci-fi, I prefer sort of the dark sci-fi, sort of more horror genre like Alien and Terminator, rather than things such as Star Wars. I'd probably go out and say that Terminator 2 is one of my favourite films ever made, so I'll put that in my answer for that one. Number 3. You've also said that you like playing kick-ass characters in the Ripley or Lara Croft mould. Absolutely. Can we expect to see Nicole kicking more ass in season 2 of Horizon? Absolutely yes. I'm so excited for people to watch season 2 of Horizon. The guys who write the show, I get on really well with them, and they've absolutely taken on board everything that I want to do as an actress. And Nicole has very much become the character that I always wanted her to be, and I'm so excited for people to see some of the things that I get to do in the show. I'm actually shooting a really exciting scene for that on Monday, and yeah, it's I feel so pleased with the way that character's going. Was the character of Nicole written for me? She was. Yeah, she was written for me. Back when the concept of the show was coming up, I'd previously worked with the guys on another film called The Levels, and they knew that they wanted to work with me again, and I knew that I wanted to work with them again. And when they approached me about the show and they told me they'd written this character for me, I didn't even have to think about it. I was straight in there, and I loved the character of Nicole. I thought, yeah, she's going to be an interesting one to play. And as you've said, she appears to be a respectable desk jockey. Yeah, she starts off very much. She's head of corporate development. She's a powerful woman within her industry, but she's. I don't think she realizes her true potential in a time of crisis. And I think the sequence of events that happens in Horizon season 1 and 2 will really test Nicole and allow her to change for the better. Can I tell you anything more about her? I prefer you to wait to find out because I don't want to spoil too much. But as I said, the character herself goes on a huge arc. I think she goes on the biggest arc out of all the characters in the show. She's pushed, she's pushed quite hard, and although she doesn't seem to have many friends, I think she's always trying to befriend people. It doesn't always work out the way she wants it to. But what I like about Nicole is I think I think her heart's in the right place, even if you don't always see that. She actually just wants to look after everyone and kind of tell them what to do, but only because she wants to keep them all safe. Think of her more like a protective older sister, really. I really enjoy playing the part of Nicole, as you can probably tell. Question number 5. What can you tell us about your new feature film, Escape from Cannibal Farm? Thanks for asking. Escape from Cannibal Farm was a brilliant film to shoot. I'd previously worked with the writer and director, Charlie, on a film called Labyrinthia, which was released under the name Deadman Apocalypse on the shelves. So I knew I wanted to work with him again. He actually wrote the character for me in Escape from Cannibal Farm, Jessica Harver. She was amazing fun to play. Again, an interesting character arc. She starts off as the girl next door, bit of a victim, don't know too much about her, and then through the events of the film, she really grows as a character, and I think in some respects can become quite terrifying. So she was a great deal of fun to play. Cannibal Farm itself was a lot of fun to shoot. We were shot locally in Ost and in where else was it? Oh, I always forget the name. Oh, Bradford on Avon. We shot it in Bradford on Avon, and we kind of slept at the place where we were filming, so we got really involved in the whole storyline, and the relationships between the different characters kind of reflected on us as actors, how well we all got on well with each other. And I think the film's going to shock people because the trailer's done exactly what we intended for it to do. It makes people think a certain thing about the film, but I think when people do watch it, they're going to be surprised in a good way about the contents of the movie. But I do not want to give anything away. I do hope people enjoy it when it's released next year. You're Bristol born and bred. I am. It's a great city. Yes, it is. So I can understand why you wouldn't want to leave, but I wonder if your location is ever a drawback. Do you need to be in London? Absolutely not. No, I'm based in Bristol, but I rarely work in Bristol. In fact, I only worked in Bristol on the shows that you've mentioned. Most of the time I either work in London, Wales, Manchester. I've worked throughout Europe. I will be working in South Africa next year. I haven't announced that one yet, but that's where I'm going to be working next year. And it's absolutely not a drawback at all, because using social media to get work basically means it doesn't really matter where on earth you're based. The only drawback might be if I wanted to work in the States with having to apply for a visa. But a lot of shows are actually shot throughout Europe. Even things that look like they're based in the States are shot in places like Madrid and Barcelona, but they'll be decked out to look like they're shot in the States. So we're really not limited on location. I love living in Bristol, and I'm quite happy to root myself here and then go and work elsewhere when needs be. Number 7, you need to be fit to kick ass on screen, and you're a fitness trainer, I believe. I am indeed. Actors in independent films, and perhaps more widely, seem to take fitness very seriously. How physically demanding is an actor's life these days? It's what you want it to be, really. I personally choose to play a certain type of role which requires a certain level of fitness, just for my own sense of feel good, I guess. I've always told myself that if I have a project coming up, that it's time for me to kick my butt into shape and get looking and feeling the way I want to. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking however you want to look on screen. But because I like to play these kind of badass girls, I like to look like I can hold my own in a fight. And I tend to play a lot of women who look like they could potentially be in the military or the police force. And so being fit kind of goes hand in hand with that. And also working on a film set is quite physically demanding anyway. So it definitely pays to be in good shape, at least, you know, be able to keep fit and run about all day and be on your feet all day. And so it's, you know, it's certainly a benefit to have a bit of knowledge about health and fitness, and I feel really lucky to actually have the two jobs that work so well together. What's next for you, and are there any types of films that you'd particularly like to be involved in? Next for me, I've just got a couple more shoots to complete for this year. I have a couple more episodes of Horizon Season 2 to shoot. I've just finished on a live event. My agent's still putting me forward for work to do this year just to keep the money coming in. But the next big project I'm doing, I'm not allowed to announce yet, but it's the biggest thing I've ever done, and I'll be working on that throughout most of 2017, so I'm really stoked about it. I'll be working away, working with a group of people that I've been dying to work with for most of my professional life. It will be film, I can tell you that, and expect it to be about a year or so from actually properly getting in and doing the shoot. There'll be a lot of promotion that leads up to it, I would imagine, and lots of training for me to do, which is a large part of the excitement as well. In terms of what I want out of the industry, I'll want whatever it throws at me. I mean, I'm always growing and learning and progressing, thank goodness. But I just feel really lucky that these opportunities keep coming to me, and I'm always going to keep wanting to be involved in them. I mean, I'd love to be on television, and if that opportunity comes up, then fantastic. But in the meantime, I am happy to work my way through independent film, one glorious role at a time. Now, I've just seen your supplementary question. Let's see. You've mentioned that you used to lack confidence. When was that, and can you explain how acting helped? Sure thing. I'm not ashamed to admit I lacked confidence through most of growing up. Although I've always been a big kid and enjoyed playing games and pretending to be certain things and having a good time. I only had a small friendship group when I was younger, and I guess when I got to secondary school, it was a lot more about, you know, whether or not you were cool enough for the other kids. And I don't know, I don't think there was anything particularly wrong with me. I just felt that I kind of shrunk into the distance a little bit. And kids can be nasty to one another, you know, none of us are saints, and I used to kind of sometimes get the receiving end of a bit of bullying. But when I when I started doing drama when I was about 18, I just literally came out of my shell in an incredible way. And as you can tell by me right now, I'm not lacking in confidence. It was one of the best things I could ever have done, really. I think just in terms of being able to talk to people and not be shy. Don't get me wrong, you know, if I go out into a social scene now, I don't go running over to people and start talking as rapidly as I am right now. I do like to keep myself to myself to a certain extent, but I'm certainly not afraid to speak up and make people laugh, but also stand up for myself if I feel like I'm being mistreated or what have you. Yeah, so I do think, drama is something I recommend to anyone who's sort of suffering from low self-esteem, just to get out there and actually feel like you're good at doing something and get the initial applause of people who appreciate your work, and yeah, it's wonderful. Well, hopefully this has answered enough for you for now. I appreciate you taking the time to take an interest in my career. It really means a lot to me. If I can help out in any way at all, with anything in the future, then it will be my absolute pleasure to do so. Well done as well on all of your achievements with your fitness. It's always lovely to see other people pushing themselves hard and getting the results of all their efforts. So yeah, all the best, Andy, and I look forward to staying in touch with you.